All right, Daniel Woodrum, welcome back to the show, my man.
Thanks for having me back, Craig.
Yeah, this must be like the 7th time we've had Daniel on the show because it's so important for everyone to hear what he can teach us about productivity. But first, I gotta ask you a very serious question, which is why do you not like Dunkin' Donuts? You spend all your time and money at Starbucks. You have these Starbucks productivity secrets you're gonna teach us, but what's wrong with Dunkin' Donuts?
I like Dunkin' Donuts donuts. I don't like their coffee.
All right.
Should we cut this?
No, I mean, J-Lo and Ben Affleck and I will not invite you over ever. But seriously, you have 3 kids now. So what, 6, 4, and 1?
5, 3, and 8 months.
5, 3, and 8 months. Yep. Very close. Your wife works, you work, you're at the gym, you're strong as heck, you're in Starbucks working. How the heck are you pulling all of this off? Just walk me through some of the systems that work for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think first it starts with communication with my wife, Brittany. One of the best systems that we've implemented is every Sunday morning, we'll sit down together and we will look at the upcoming week, right? And we plan out like, okay, Daniel, Monday morning, who's going to take the kids to school, right? Who's going to watch Bellamy? Who's going to pick the kids up from school, right? If we have any appointments. So we're Team Woodrum is what we call ourselves, right? Yeah. And so we're always making sure that we're on the same page. And then also the night before, we also when we're laying in bed, all right, let's make sure that we're all on the same page on who's doing what the next day.
How do you keep track of that? Do you like have your own little workbook or do you have a wall thing?
So, I mean, one is we have a Google Calendar, obviously, but we also have a little calendar on our refrigerator where we can just update it.
Like just a little one?
It's pretty large.
Okay. Did Brittany get off Amazon or something?
Yeah, she got off Amazon, yeah. Right. Like a race one.
All right, so you do the weekly planning and then kind of like an evening daily huddle.
Yes, as a team to make sure that we're both on the same page. And look, things are going to come up, right? So we're always having to communicate. Sometimes we're going to have to be flexible with that. But it's a really great system that's worked for us because when we didn't do that, there was a lot of frustration. We both get frustrated with each other because it's like we're not helping each other out, right? Because we're not communicating. It's just a lack of expectations.
What happens if the kids need to be picked up at school and you really want to do something, schedule something, and she really wants to schedule something? Who's the arbitrator of that?
Yeah, I usually will give her the ability to put herself first because she is one of the most selfless people that I've ever met. And I know that she makes a lot more sacrifices than I do when it comes to our family. And so I always try to, give it to her first, if you will. Yeah.
Awesome, man. All right, so let's flip back to where people go wrong in their own productivity. So we have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the show. We have New York Times bestselling authors. We have professional actors and athletes and high-paid lawyers and accountants. They all need to get more done.
Yep.
But they're probably making a few simple mistakes that you see over and over again. So walk us through like some of the most common ones and how we can fix those.
Yeah, so the first one is hitting the snooze button, right? As we always say, you snooze, you lose. So making sure, one of the simple hacks that I do is that I will put my phone across the room. So when my alarm goes off, I have to get out of bed to turn it off, right? It's kind of like it's a little interrupt, if you will, because if I can just lean over and hit the snooze button, it's easier for me to go back to sleep. Where if I'm out of bed, I'm like, I'm already out of bed, I'm gonna get my day started. So that's one little hack.
So many people always said to me, like when I was single, that well, you should, you can't get up at a different time as your spouse. You're gonna let the alarm go off. Does Brittany sleep through it?
So that's a great question. What I do is I actually will put my clothes. I lay out my clothes the night before. That's another little hack that I do, right? Because I
just wear the same clothes.
Well, that too, right? I don't wear more than five outfits, but I call it decision minimalist.
I'm still wearing the same things yesterday.
And so I put my clothes in our bathroom, in our room, right? So that way when my alarm goes off, I'll go in the bathroom, I'll get ready. So I don't really disturb her at all, don't really make a whole lot of noise. And then I'll go out of the room.
So you can get the alarm
pretty quickly. Oh, I run to turn that alarm off because I don't want to wake her up. So
do you use an alarm every day? Like, does it go off every day?
Every day, yeah. I mean, there are times where I'll get up before my alarm, but I don't know how you get up without an alarm. Like,
I don't get up at the same time every day anymore. So it's random when I get up.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate where if it's later than I want it to be, I'm okay. But 90% of the time, it's earlier.
Yeah.
Than what I expected. Okay, so you're ninja changing, and then you sneak back out. And do you go right off to Starbucks right away?
So it depends. When I don't have the morning routine with the kids, I will go straight to Starbucks. Luckily, my Starbucks opens up at 4:30, which is pretty early.
Wow, I've never heard that before.
Most of them are 5 or 5:30, yeah. So I'll get there about 5:35, 5:40, and then I was actually talking to Gavin about this earlier today. I used to just go to Starbucks and I would have a couple of hours where I would get things done, but I've actually realized where if I can actually set an hour and only stay at Starbucks for an hour, I'm more focused, right? Because I know I don't have time to waste. So having those boundaries has significantly helped me as well stay focused in the morning.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I mean, definitely that's a Parkinson's law thing.
Yep.
And the power of the deadline to get stuff done. Okay, so people do not hit snooze. Now, how you do not hit snooze is you get to bed on time.
Yes.
How does your family of 3 children, plus you and Britt, and 1 dog or 2 dogs?
1 dog.
1 dog.
Yep.
Get to bed on time, especially if you want to hit all those sunsets. You know, so one of Daniel's goals last year is watch all these sunsets. Oh, 100?
200.
200.
Yeah.
Now in June, what time's the sun going down?
Oh, in June, the sun's going down at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, so what's bedtime for everybody?
Yeah, so the kids go down at 7 o'clock, and we are very routine with our kids. Like, they get up at the same time each morning. My daughter, who's 5, actually has an alarm clock. Like, I want to teach her these good habits and discipline now. Mm-hmm. So she gets herself up. She gets mainly herself ready. We'll lay out the kids' clothes the night before so they can get themselves up and ready. So the 2 older kids go down at 7 o'clock. Usually our daughter, Bellamy, is 8 months. We'll go down about 8 o'clock or so.
Okay.
My wife and I, we'll hang out. Sometimes we'll watch TV. We're not big TV people. Sometimes we'll watch TV until about 9 o'clock. I go to bed anywhere between 9 and 9:30, no later than 9:30. A lot of times my wife will stay up until 10:30 or so. So she'll go to bed a little bit later, but also I get up a little bit earlier. So we do have that little different schedule.
Okay, so it's pretty regimented.
It's regimented, very regimented,
okay.
Very regimented.
And then that's the way that you can then regiment the morning.
Absolutely.
So someone comes to you as a coaching client and they're all over the place with that routine. How do you get them trained? How do you get them to see the value in it? How do you get them quick victories in this so that you start building the habit of that routine?
Yeah, so typically, let's say that I ask them, what is your ideal wake up time? And let's say they said 6 o'clock. Right now they're getting up at 8:30, right? Like, we're not going to go from 8:30 to 6 o'clock. You're going to set yourself up for failure. This is one thing I learned from you many years ago, Craig, is like, let's do 15-minute increments, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're getting up at 8:30, let's do 8:15 for the next week, right? Get compliant with that. Compliance breeds confidence. Get some quick wins, right? Same thing with bedtime. If your ideal bedtime is at 9 o'clock, you're going to bed at 10 o'clock, let's do 9:45 for the first week or so. Get compliance, and then every week or so, we'll backtrack at 15 minutes until you can ultimately find that sweet spot in terms of your wake up and bedtime.
Okay, and then what struggles do people usually have with that? Like, because to me, the bedtime is the most boring but most keystone habit, because if you can get to bed on time, everything kind of dominoes from there. But it's boring, and for a lot of people that want to get up on time, the reason is they're just doing a million things at night. So what usually stops people, and how do you help them curb these bad habits at night?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, usually it's watching TV, right? Being electronics. So we always say, like, if you can get off your electronics an hour before your bedtime, set an alarm at the trigger. I'm a big believer in triggers, right? Especially if you're not used to this, it's not a habit yet. Set your alarm at the trigger to go off at, say, 8 o'clock. All right, from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock until my bedtime, I'm not going to be on electronics. I mean, spend time with your significant other, go take a bath, read a book, whatever it might be. Get yourself off the electronics. That's a big thing. Another thing for me is, like, I have a non-negotiable. I get up at the same time. So if I go to bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock, that's on me. I'm still going to go up at the same time the next morning, right? So I'm basically just punishing myself, if you will, by not going to bed on time.
Yeah, 7 days a week?
7 days a week, yeah. Yep.
And then on the flip side, for people that come in, I've been in the exercise industry forever, people that have not had an exercise habit or healthy habits, how do you get them on board with that? How do you get them quick victories and through small wins there? Yeah,
I mean, my philosophy is, like, think big, start small. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make. If you're not working at all and you're going to say you're going to go to the gym 5 days per week, you might make that work for week 1, and then you're going to fail, right? Because it's just overwhelming. You're overtaxing your body and everything. So one thing that I would say is, like, can we commit to a 10-minute walk? Can we just go for a micro walk for 10 minutes once or twice per day? Let's start with that first, right? Let's go to the gym 1 day per week. Like, just get those small wins. build that momentum, build that habit, build that confidence, and then we can slowly progress from there.
So you said that phrase micro walk, which is something that you're posting about all the time.
Yeah.
You write little articles about all the time. You're really on this kick. So explain it to everybody. Explain all the benefits, what you've seen. It's not just for you. Like, you have proof that, client X did this and all of a sudden they got these benefits. So give us the whole shtick.
Yeah, my game is
the whole Daniel
my goal is to
Woodrum
make this famous
Bible of
it's
micro
so
walks.
powerful. So micro walks. Most people, traditional walking things, we gotta walk for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour long.
10,000 steps.
10,000 steps, right? Which is great. But even for myself as a health guy, as a busy entrepreneur, have kids, right? A lot going on. Like, I could not find myself 30 or 45 minutes to go for a walk. Or if I did 15 minutes in the walk, I'm like, I've got enough walking in. Let me just turn back around and go home. And I'm like, how can I actually get the minimum effective dose? Is something that we used to talk about, back in the fitness days. And so I was like, what if I could just go for a 5 or 10 minute walk and take these little micro walks anywhere from 2 to 3 times per day, sometimes upwards of 4 times per day. And look, it could be taking my dog for a walk, could be taking my daughter for a walk, could be going by myself. Ideally, I don't take any phones, any electronics with me. I'm not perfect with that, but that is a goal of mine. And so what I've found, Craig, is that, and for other clients as well, is that by taking these little micro walks, right, it is a great way to get away from your computer screens, regain your focus, regain your productivity, get some extra steps in, right? And it's able to have structured breaks, because the problem is most people work for 2 or 3 hours and then they end up taking a break, but it's not structured. So they get on social media, they go on YouTube, right? They're doing things that are not productive. So if you can take a scheduled 5 or 10 minute micro walk break, come back in, you're going to be refocused, and also you get the health benefits of it as well.
Yeah. And one of the guys coming to the mastermind here, a guy named Dr. Drew Jameson from Vancouver, for a long time, he just posts like his feet walking, and he calls them 10-minute walks. Yeah. So you'll be able to have a good connection with him. Now, I know what people are thinking, but I live in Winnipeg, or I live in Denmark, or I live in Siberia, and I can't just go outside. But I will tell you that my wife bought this thing called a walking pad off Amazon. It's $300, and it's basically a good treadmill that's probably not even as far as I can reach out my arms. So $300 off Amazon. So it's not like you got to get a $5,000 treadmill anymore. This thing looks pretty durable. Yeah. And she was using it a lot over Christmas time. So I know that the excuses are really...
Yeah, I mean, of course,
really
it's always better to go outside, right? But like you said, obviously in the winter months, even in the summer months in Charleston when it's 100 degrees outside, it's not very fun. So. All
right, good, man. Okay, so then people have a problem getting up. People have a problem going to bed. What are some of the other things that just hold people back from being more productive over the course of their actual workday? So when they, quote unquote, get in the office, or when they go to their home office and they're in work mode, what are some of the things that still stop them from squeezing more juice out of the productivity?
Yeah, I mean, one is, you've heard me say this, Craig, is being busy is not a badge of honor, right? And the way that I look at being busy is just having this long to-do list, which is most people do. They've got 20 or 30 things on their to-do list, whether it's a to-do list or just sticky notes everywhere, which is a whole other discussion that just drives me crazy, because I used to be that guy. But the whole point being is that you need to have what I call priority planning. What are the 2 or 3 things tops, right, that you need to get done every single day to move your business forward? So one thing that I do, Craig, is I have a Google Doc, right? And so at the end of each day, before I wrap up my work day, I go on my Google Doc, I put the date for the next day, and I write out 2 or 3 priorities that I need to get done for me to have a definition of success for the next day. And then I'll also put 2 or 3 bullet points. I call it the bullet point hack under those priorities. And this is just a little outline, it's action steps. Because again, I don't want to have to think about things. I want to be able to open up my computer. Okay, priority 1 is this. Here are the 2 or 3 action steps that I need to take in order to work on this priority. And so that's one thing I would encourage everybody to do, is get rid of your to-do list, focus on a priority list. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you need to have an organized desk, workstation, right? So we talk about having the 6 feet arm roll. Have your arms are 6 feet arm roll.
6 feet arm roll.
Yeah, have your arms out and just do a little 360 rotation.
The Gavin rule.
Right, yeah.
Slightly
8 feet.
Pick up Gavin and twirl him around your office.
You'll have nothing in sight.
Everybody, so instead of selling books on Amazon, I'm just going to start selling cardboard cutouts of Gavin on Amazon, where he will just come in. Gavin cannot touch anything.
He's got like little magnets on his hand.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so basically, like anything that's within arm's reach can be a distraction.
Keep your phone one Gavin length away from you at all times. So you used to be a sticky note monster.
Oh, yes.
What was it a problem for you? Why is it a problem for most people? And how did you transition out of that?
Well, first of all, it's embarrassing. I would have sticky notes on my computer screen. First of all, I would lose them all the time. They would fall off my computer screen. I'd find them in my bag 2 days later, like, oh, I was supposed to do that 2 days ago. Secondly, to me, it's just overwhelming because you've got all these sticky notes that are staring at you in the face and you're thinking, oh my God, I've got 20 things to do, right? As opposed to if you just had one document, whether it's a Google Doc, it could be a journal, it could be a notebook, it doesn't really matter. It's just more organized and it's less stressful and overwhelming.
Yeah, I think so too. And then you keep your priority list on a Google document. How do you recommend is that what you recommend for everybody? Or what other systems have you seen work for other people that are your clients that you don't do, but you think is actually a good system for you?
Yeah, there's what's it called? The Notion, I believe. Notion app.
I think that's
Notion app. There's one that I have some clients use as well. I have some clients that prefer like a Google Sheet, which I'm just a Google Doc guy. Some people are just old school. They just have a notebook and every day they flip the page, which is fine. And I always tell people it's not so much about find the system that works for you, right? The Google Docs works for me. And then at the end of each day, I actually do an end of day reflection on that Google Doc under my priorities. So it's like my brain dump where I can just keep track of everything.
I hear this all the time. How do I figure out what my priorities are or what I don't know, I've got all these things. How do I figure out which one?
Yeah, so one thing that you could do is, or that I'd recommend doing is that, again, ideally you're planning out your entire week on a Saturday or Sunday morning, right? Write out what are the main things that I need to accomplish this week on a high level. And then as you're setting your priorities each day, just look at those that are on the top of the document, at the top of your notebook, and you've got clarity, you've got a vision of what needs to happen, and then you can adjust, or you can set your day and plan your day according to your goals for the week.
Okay. All right, so we have got everybody getting to bed on time, therefore getting up on time, therefore getting into their priority, ending the day, listing the priority of the next day. What about the phone? How have you conquered the phone?
Oh, I'm glad you asked this. So, and I got this from you, Craig. You'd said that I think a client had told you about an Opal app that he was using.
Yeah, I can't remember who told me about it. Now that
and you put in a weekly accountability email, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, I've got a problem. We're all addicted to our phones, right? People get paid a lot of money to make sure we're addicted to our phones. And for me, it was mainly social media and YouTube as well. So when you recommend that Opal app, I literally stopped everything I was doing and I went and purchased it for $99 for a year subscription. And just to give people an idea, the way that it works is basically you can set up certain times of the day where it blocks certain apps on your phone, and you can tell it what you want it to block on your phone. And so what I have been doing now, Monday through Saturday, I don't do it on Sunday. Sunday's I get up at the same time Sunday, but it's kind of like my free day, if you will. But Monday through Saturday from 4 a.m. till 7 a.m., all my apps on my phone are blocked. The only thing I can get is a phone call or text message in case, I'm at Starbucks and Brittany's get a hold of me kind of thing. But I cannot go on anything on my phone from 4 to 7. So the way I look at that is that's 936 hours for the entire year. That if you do the math, that I've got focused work time where I'm not going to be distracted on my phone. Because I tell people willpower will break you every single time. Like I'm very self-motivated, self-disciplined. That dang phone gets me every time if I don't put those systems and buffers in place.
Nice. Okay, great. So now we've got our phone taken care of. We have all the other stuff done. Walk us through what to do if you kind of lose motivation with your afternoon hack. Because I had a client of mine, a guy named Christian, who thought this is really great because there's a lot of times where he's still at work because he feels like he should just be putting in the hours, doesn't know what to do, probably waste the hours that he could have spent. He's got hobbies, he's got kids, he could be doing anything else. So what is the thing that when people who have had a good productive day and are really just grinding and slogging it out and getting about 30 minutes of work done in 2 hours, which is a waste of time. What should they be doing instead? Yeah,
so I call this the head start session, right? So in the afternoon, like you said, most people lose productivity, lose focus, lose creativity. You feel like you've gotten most of your priority work done, but it's like, well, I feel like I still need to work some. Why not cheat for the next day and do a head start? So we all have things that we must do on a daily basis, whether it's every single day or certain days of the week. Just look ahead at the next day and say, okay, I've got this 45-minute or hour block of time in the afternoon that I'm otherwise not going to be productive. How can I do some of the tasks that I need to get done tomorrow and get a head start? And it's a really great tool that's worked really well for me and other coaching clients. Another thing, Craig, I would say is that if you do end up losing focus in the afternoon, do a midday check-in with yourself. Set your alarm to go off at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Reset, okay, how did my morning go, right? What do I still need to accomplish by 4 or 5 o'clock before my day ends? And it's just a good reset to really evaluate and reflect on how your day has gone and what do you need to do to finish the day strong.
Awesome. So you spend $1,000 a year at Starbucks. You go there from anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. Is it now almost an hour every day?
Now it's pretty. Yeah, it used to be 3 hours. Now it's an hour to hour and a half tops. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you just have black coffee?
Black venti coffee every single time I walk in. They know my name. They actually have the coffee. Like, they'll see me walk in. They have the coffee ready for me. And then some days, which is a good hack, guys, if you get there early enough, they don't have the registers ready yet. They'll just give me the free coffee. Here you go. Like, and so I would say half the days I get a free coffee, which is nice.
I can't believe it opens at 4:30 in the morning. Because everywhere I ever go, like staying at Airbnbs and stuff, you like Google all the coffee shops. They're all open at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Drives me crazy.
No idea how these people operate. So 4:30 in the morning, man, that I might even have to just move to Charleston for that particular reason. So you go in there, you have your priority list. You go in there, you've done a little bit of bullet point hacking the night before. You sit down, you work on your number one priority. You're blocked from going on apps and YouTube. What do you watch on YouTube, by the way?
So I'm a big sports guy. Okay. And so there's like just ridiculous talk show stuff like Dan Patrick, all these guys.
That's the garbage of all garbage.
It is garbage.
Stuff.
So I actually deleted the YouTube app on my phone. And so because I would convince myself it's only 30 minutes, right? I'm like, why am I listening to this crap? I would get all fired up. Stupid.
Yeah. So you drink the coffee, you do the work. And then how do you transition into the rest of your day to keep the productivity going? Yeah,
so this is another thing that I do is I actually have 3 different spots that I call, and like I believe your environment is a big factor into your success and productivity. So Starbucks is my morning productivity time. I do all of my calls and meetings in we have a little guest house behind our house, which we have an office set up. So that's where I do all my calls and meetings. And then my head start session in the afternoon, I sit in our back patio and do that. We have a little table in the back patio, so I'll sit there and do the work. So it's just, I think it's just good to have a different environment. Some people can just stay in the same spot all day, which is fine. But for me, what I found is changing my environment around and doing certain things during the day has just really helped with my focus, productivity, and just not getting so bored being in the same spot all day.
Awesome. So for people listening and they're not as productive as you, where do you tell them to start first?
So the number one thing that I would tell you to do is priority planning. So the day before, the evening before, I want you to set an alarm to go off at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Let's just say whatever the end of your workday is, 30 minutes ahead of time. So if your end of day is 5 o'clock, 4:30, set an alarm to go off. I want you to write out what are the 3 things that I must get done tomorrow to have success. I want you to write out 2 or 3 bullet points under each of those. Okay. I want you to right now stop watching this. Pay $99 for the Opal app because I swear that is the biggest thing that's helped me in the last year. It's an absolute game changer. And then I also want you to determine what is your wake up time. And what's your ideal wake up time? What is your current wake up time? If it's way off, do the 15-minute increments that we talked about earlier.
Yeah. And so the reason why we're so obsessed with this is because Daniel has 3 kids. I have 2 kids and we want to spend more time with our kids. Yeah. So what is your use of cutoff times in your workday? Because I imagine like you, like me, we like our work and we'd be happy to do more of it, but we don't want our work to get in the way of our family. So what is your end of day cutoff routine? How do you do that? Do you have an alarm? What's the system that allows you to go from being super coach to super dad?
Yeah, so I do not take any coaching calls past 4 o'clock. Most days I actually don't have any calls past 2 o'clock. I just set it up like that. There are a couple clients that just based on their times, I have to do a little bit later. So right, if the end of my day is at 4 o'clock, again, same thing, set an alarm for 30 minutes ahead of time, and that's when I do my priority planning on my Google Doc. I reflect on my day, and then shut my computer off, and I actually don't do any computer work in the house. I only do computer work in the guest house or in the back patio. So I don't do any work in the house, unless it's like an absolute emergency. And I actually don't do any work on my phone either. Like I don't email on my phone. I just have that system in place where I'm not tempted to do any work.
So you're done work at 4
o'clock. Yeah, 4:30.
Awesome.
At the latest.
That is inspirational. Everybody watching this, just understand that if Daniel is this busy and he can do it, then I know that you're busy, but you can do it too. Daniel, is there any last piece of advice you want to share with everybody before we go? Because these productivity hacks are amazing, and that's why we're doing the productivity hack cheat codes training, because we're going to give people back thousands of hours every year.
Yeah. I mean, we've learned the power of mindset from Coach Gavin. Being busy is not a badge of honor. Like if somebody asks you, how are you doing? Think about, I want to be productive. I'm productive. I am not busy. Like I think just that mindset shift has been an absolute game changer for me the last couple of years. And I really feel like I've really dialed in my productivity because I've had to with so many kids.
There's the productivity hack. Have more kids. Well, I'm not opposed to it. All right, so Daniel, awesome work, man. Really appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate
like always, we'll have you back on the show very soon. And so Daniel and I, we have the productivity cheat codes training, and then we have the California Mastermind in May 1st to 3rd in Southern California with Bedros, with Jason Capital. If you want to attend either of those trainings, just drop us a message down below and say training, and we will make sure that you have all the information, because we're going to change your lives, help you get more done, and dominate in business and life. We'll talk to you soon.